Hey FlossTube, welcome back. This is my 93rd FlossTube video, and I'm excited to share with you what I've been working on the past few weeks. And I have a lot to share with you. But first of all, I want to welcome you. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you enjoy the things that I have to share with you. And if you are returning, thank you for coming back and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. It's been a great few weeks. Things have been going well. I didn't realize how long it had been since I made a video until I started looking at my photos to see what I have done since I last made a video. And I was surprised at how much I'd actually done and how long it had been. So I have a lot to share. Everything is going well here. Work is busy as always. My family is doing well. It's still summery here. I hear people talk about how it's turning fall, and I'm kind of jealous because it's still quite warm here. However, we can tell that the temperatures are starting to drop. The mornings are really nice. It's just still getting warm during the day. This morning, we planted our winter grass. So that's something we do in Arizona. The grass we use in the summer turns brown in the winter. And so we plant grass every winter so that we have green lawns. We did that this morning. Spent a lot of time scalping our lawn to get rid of all of the thatch that had accumulated. And now we've just got a brown patch in front of our house. And now's the time when we cross our fingers and hope that the seed that we spread out actually grows. It always does, but you always get a little bit nervous because it takes a couple of weeks before it starts to look green again. So we'll see how things go. Yeah, I don't really have any questions to respond to, so we'll just get right into what I've been working on. And during my last video, I said that I was going to be working on my chatelaine. I spun my wheel and the wheel showed up that I needed to stitch Medieval Town Mandala, which is this pattern. Of course, it's a chatelaine. It's a square with kind of a garden in the middle, and then it's surrounded by medieval buildings on all four sides. I'm really enjoying working on this, and I really love how it's starting to turn out. So I started this back in May, and this is only the second time that I've worked on it since I started it. So it doesn't look like a whole lot yet, but I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it, just so that you can see. I'm stitching it on 32 count antique white Belfast linen, and I'm stitching with the called for silks. I'm not making any substitutions. And it's kind of an interesting experience because of course I started in the middle. I was afraid to start in a corner like I usually do. And so I started in the middle, and I've just been working out. So I'll show you what it looks like now. And as you can see, I have basically finished this middle section. And that includes all these little flower beds in the garden here, and then there's this row of, I guess, a round of petite treasure braid. And I don't know how well it's going to show up on the camera, but that's 3 different colors of petite treasure braid, 3 different shades of gold. So in real life, it looks really sparkly, and there's actually quite a bit of depth to the color through there. It's really kind of cool. All of these, of course, there's going to be beads placed later, so it still looks a little bit empty right now. And then you can see I started over here on this corner working on I guess these are just plants that will eventually surround the entire square. So one of the things that I have that this has started to get to me with is you have to stitch everything 4 times. And so this center was really kind of starting to wear on me because of all of the repetition, and also there are a lot of colors in some of these blocks. So even though they don't look like it, there's a lot of colors, and that means they're so small that it's like stitch 3 or 4 stitches and end off, and then move to the next block of the same type and stitch 3 or 4 more stitches again. That's the way this whole thing was. So it's kind of been tedious and felt like a little bit like work to stitch this. I love the results, and it's definitely worth it, but this just is one of those pieces that I'm beginning to feel like it's going to feel like work to work on. And I came up with a strategy to deal with all of the repetition. So from now on, I am not going to be working around each time, because there's like several different layers that surround this. Like there's like corners that you stitch, and then basically there's just several rounds, and I could stitch each round like this, stitch each layer, and go all the way around and just work my way out. I decided I'm not going to do that because I'm afraid that I would really get burned out with the repetition of stitching 4 things at the same time all the way out. So what I am going to do is, I started here at this corner. I am going to work this corner out down to the very, very end of the design and do everything down to here. And then hopefully by the time I get to the bottom, I'll have kind of forgotten what it was like to stitch this up here. And then I'll move over to probably this corner and stitch out, and then this corner and stitch out, and this corner and stitch out. That's just what I've decided I'm going to try to do to mitigate the problem of having to stitch everything 4 times. So, yeah. But like I say, it's really sparkly because of all of this petite treasure braid, and there's some really nice contrasting colors between the 3 different shades of gold that are there. So I'm really, really, really liking how this is turning out, and really enjoying it. So really enjoying the finished product, I should say. So yeah. So this is Medieval Town Mandala by Chatelaine. I worked on this for about a week, and really enjoyed working on it. So then I spun my wheel again, and my wheel said I needed to stitch the Queen Sampler. Now this is a design by Darlene Steen of the Needles Prayse. And it's a design that is kind of challenging. It's different from anything I've ever stitched before, mostly because it's a band sampler. This is my first band sampler, and it's also everything is stitched reversibly. And I decided I wanted to do that. I wanted to stitch it reversibly just for the challenge of doing it, I guess. So this is what it will look like when it's finished. I'll show you a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it. So I am stitching this on 37 count Russian tea cakes with the called for colors, and this is turning out to be a bit of a challenge for me. And we'll talk about this a little bit. So this is what it looks like now. And you probably say, yeah, it doesn't look like there has been a lot of change. And that's true. I actually only worked on it a couple of days. And I love the result, but this is another piece that is feeling like it's going to be work to stitch on. Just like my Chatelaine, and having two projects that are feeling like they're worked together really kind of put me out of the mood of cross stitching a little bit, and I needed to do something to do that. So I only worked on this 2 days. One of the things that you can see, I finished this bunch of grapes, and there's leaves in here. These are all done in reversible cross stitch, and then I started working on this bunch of grapes, and yeah, things are going good. I was just kind of discouraged with it. The biggest reason why I was discouraged with it is inside all of these grapes is a spiral trellis stitch, and I decided I was going to, before I pulled this out, one of the things I did is I decided to try to practice doing a spiral trellis to see if I could figure it out. And so I heard someone say that it would be good to practice on 28 count linen with pearl cotton. So I tried doing that, and I don't know, it didn't go well. I think part of it just felt really bulky, and I had a hard time figuring out where to put my needle underneath the strand to go around the circle. It was so I kind of got discouraged, wondering if I'm ever going to be able to get this to look nice. The next time I try to do spiral trellis, I think I am going to do it with actual silk, and just see if I can figure it out with the actual materials that I'll be using. I've been worried about that stitch the entire time, and I still haven't got the hang of it. So I'm going to have to work on it some more. So the prospect of possibly having to do that spiral trellis, and also the fact that this is just, like I say, I love the results. I have no plans on stopping it, but just having it follow the Chatelaine just was not a good idea for me. So this needs to be spaced out from my Chatelaine instead of having those two projects together. But anyway, so far it's looking really good. It is reversible. I am stitching it reversible, so just for the sake of completeness, I'll show you the back. I'll show you my back side. So this is what it looks like on the back. So yeah, my camera is showing me mirror image, so now it looks all right to me. Anyway, that is what it's looking like. So mostly I'm just doing all the reversible cross stitch, and then I am going to have to figure out how to get the spiral trellis done. So if any of you have any suggestions, I mean, I've looked at videos, I've seen videos on how to do it. The videos that are available on YouTube for it aren't with counted thread, so they're a little bit different, but I've seen them and I can see kind of how to do it. But I'm just going to have to buckle down and do a lot of practicing, I think, before I can actually do that. So anyway, this is the Queen Sampler by Darlene Osteen. Stitched on 37 count Russian tea cakes linen with a Versoix. There's some MPI. I am using the suggested colors that are in the stitch guide that was done by Needlemade Designs. And that's partly because the colors have shifted since this design was published. So, I'm stitching with one strand of silk too. That's the other thing. Okay, so another thing that convinced me to move on from this is the last time I did a video, I showed you this, my progress with Karoline Beringer. This is a design by Summerhouse Stitchworks. And I told you then that I had started working on it, but I had to stop because I had run out of floss. I am stitching with the called for wool from Gentle Arts, and I needed to get some more colors. So I put that on hold until my wool showed up, and it showed up. And so I was having a hard time with the Queen sampler, and I decided, okay, I'm just gonna leave that aside, and I'm going to finish Karoline. So I'm stitching this on, it's just a 32 count cream Belfast linen. It's the package that you used to be able to buy at Hobby Lobby. I don't know, they've changed their linen branding a little bit since I bought this. But I'll show you a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it, and you'll see that I only had, I guess I had the first alphabet complete, and I was halfway through the second alphabet. And this is what it looks like now. So yes, I finished this. This is finished, and it really was a quick stitch. It only took me about 8 days to stitch, minus all of the delays waiting for floss to show up. But this is Karoline, and of course this is actually a German sampler. That's why I pronounced her name Karoline Beringer, because I think that's how it would be pronounced. Neckar Westheim. I looked this is a city in Germany, in the northern part of the state of Baden-Württemberg. And so this kind of, that when I found out that she was from Baden-Württemberg, that kind of brought new life to this for me. Partly because I spent a month in Germany on kind of an exchange when I was in high school, and our home base, the place where we stayed with students, was in Stuttgart, which is the capital of Baden-Württemberg. So when I realized that she was from Baden-Württemberg, that just kind of brought back all of the memories of the month that I had spent in Germany and all of the places that I had seen, and it reminded me of Stuttgart, and yeah, Stuttgart is a beautiful city, and I really loved the month that I spent in Stuttgart. So anyway, that's enough of a tangent. I really have loved this piece. I love the colors. They're so bright, vibrant, and they've really, I really enjoyed stitching it. It's like I say, it's really quick. I really enjoyed stitching with the wool. I only needed to, it's thicker than DMC cotton floss, so I only needed to stitch with one strand, and the coverage is really good. And yeah, this was just a nice, fun, fast stitch, and I really enjoyed it. I love the colors. Anyway, I don't know what else to say about it other than it's finished. So this is I think my 6th finished of the year. And I'm really happy with it. So, oh yes, as I was, of course, I always post my pictures on Instagram, and Beth from Summer House Stitchworks actually commented on a couple of my posts, which was really kind of cool to have an actual designer notice that I was stitching the piece that she had designed. So here we go. This is Karoline Beringer from Summer House Stitchworks. It's a reproduction sampler, and this is 32 count Cream Belfast Linen with the Gentle Arts Simply Wool. So yeah. Okay, so then I decided to take another spin on my wheel to see what it would tell me what to stitch. and it came up with dragons, this dragon Quaker. This is a design by Stickideen von der Wiehenburg. And of course it's Quakers with dragons. And as I've stitched this, I've noticed something. These motifs aren't haphazard. They're, of course, you've got the dragon in the middle. It's surrounded by 6 dragons. And then you've got the half-round Quakers that go all the way around the outside. And then there's plants that go around the inside, and then there's like some smaller motifs to fill in the holes. But there's actually some pretty well thought out design about how to arrange the motifs in this, and I thought that was kind of interesting. I am stitching, I'll show you, this is the second time I've worked on this piece also, so I don't have a whole lot of progress, but I'll show you what it looked like the last time that you saw it. And I just really, really enjoyed working on this. I love the colors. The colors, these blues and mauves and greens are just my favorite colors. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to stitch this. And the dragons are really cool also. I'm stitching this on 32 count Dirty Belfast Linen, and I'm stitching with 2 strands of floss using DMC, and this is the called for colors, and this is what it looks like now. So I actually am really, really happy with what I was able to accomplish, because I think I had like this much done, and I was able to stitch almost all the way across over to here. So there's a page border about here and a page border about here. So I've stitched the second page, except for there are some motifs that move down into the page below that I haven't stitched. So, but for all practical purposes, I finished a page. This is the center of the piece, and I was able to stitch the first dragon. So here's the first dragon right here. My family thinks it doesn't look a lot like a dragon. They think it looks a little bit bird-like, but it's not mythical creatures Quaker. It's dragon Quaker, so I'm calling it a dragon. Anyway. Yeah, so I've stitched the dragon. Of course, we've got these plant motifs and these half circle Quakers. This Quaker took a long time to stitch. There are a lot. It doesn't look like it, but there are a lot of stitches in this. And more letters. So yeah, there's an acorn. I think this is an oak leaf. This is kind of disappointing, but the color, because it's so light, you can't hardly see what the shape is. But I'm going to leave it. I think it's fine. That light color is kind of pops when it's surrounded by all the darker colors. So. That acorn was a fun, quick stitch. So yeah. I'll give you a little bit, see if I can give you a little bit closer look at it. Without the colors going all out. So yeah, this is Dragon Quaker by Stickideen von der Wiehenburg. So, and then finally, This last piece, I didn't spin my wheel. I just decided to stitch this next piece, and the piece I decided to stitch is Time and Season Sampler by Moira Blackburn. And of course, this was a Christmas present from my wife last Christmas, and so this is another piece that I stitched in May, and I haven't touched since. So I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. I'm stitching this on 40 count Mallow with 1 strand of DMC. And Mallow is a fabric from Zweigart, but it's I think it's a cotton linen blend. It's not pure linen, and I really like it. It's only available in 40 count as far as I know, but it's really, I think it's a really nice fabric, and this is what it looks like now. So I am really happy with my progress with this, because I finished this entire bottom border, and I've turned the corner, so now we can see the entire width of the sampler. And I stitched the pomegranates. This has been kind of repetitive, and also I started working on. So there's the outer border that has the alphabet and these kind of flower motifs, and then there's an inner border that is made of different things. So this is pomegranates down here, and then I think these are acorns and oak leaves that go up the sides, and then there's another border kind of like this that goes across the top, and then you have everything in the middle. So I stitched the beginning of this inner border here, and then this is a great big tree that I started working on, and that tree is big, and there's still quite a bit of work to work on before I finish it. This is another piece that I really enjoyed stitching. I just love the colors, and I'll give you a closer look so you can see them a little bit better. I just love these. Here's these greens and blues and mauves down here again, and I find this the contrast between these cool colors, and then this is all a warm green and a warm red that's got a little bit of orange in it. I just find that really intriguing to have the contrast between the cool colors and the warm colors. If you are stitching this, and I've had a lot of people on Instagram express interest in this piece, just a couple of caveats. The chart is not very consistent through here, and it's like she decided to make the motif, but when she copied it, she missed things. And there were a couple of things that were really obvious to me that I fixed. For example, this little set of stitches here, this kind of leaf right here, that was only over here in the first repetition, and then it wasn't in any of the others. So I just stitched it in when I realized that it was missing. This also. One of these kind of squiggly empty spaces over here was different, I think on this side, as compared to over here. And I made what I stitched match what was over here on this first one. So if you're stitching this and you want everything, I think there's still a couple of differences, but they're not as obvious as those two. So if you're stitching this and you want to make everything look consistent all the way across the band, just kind of be aware of that. Be aware that there are some, I don't know if I call them mistakes, but there's some inconsistencies in the chart. So just watch that. But otherwise, I'm really enjoying this. So yeah, this is Time and Season Sampler by Moira Blackburn. Okay, and I'll just share with you one graph because I realized something as I was looking through my graphs a couple weeks ago. This graph shows the trend of the number of WIPs that I have on a month-by-month basis, and this covers the entire history since I started keeping track of my stitching. And I didn't realize it. I thought I had this many WIPs before. I've peaked at 14, and I thought I had that many WIPs before, but I found out that no, this is the most WIPs that I've had ever, and I'm starting to feel it a little bit because as I go through my rotation, it just takes. There's so many WIPs that it takes. Like I'm at 3 months to get through my rotation. And so I've got a lot of pieces that are hanging in the wings that I haven't stitched. I also went almost monogamous to finish my English garden sampler, and that has really lengthened out the time between that I've stitched some stuff. I have a couple of pieces that I still need to go through in my rotation that I haven't stitched since like March, I think. So I'm trying to figure out how to try to get my WIP count down, and I'm going to probably be doing some things, maybe concentrating on some of the pieces that are not as well. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just thinking. But what I'm going to do this week is not going to help the situation, but I really want to do this. So anyway, this is getting me into trouble. Is I think I'm going to start something, and I think, oh, whatever, but it's starting to get me into trouble a little bit. But this is a special week. My birthday is this week, so I am going to start something to celebrate my birthday, and so another start. But this is what I'm going to stitch, and I mentioned this in my last video, I think, or the video before. I'm going to start this. This is English Cottage Sampler by Teresa Wentzler. You always have to have a Teresa Wentzler in your WIP pile, and I don't right now. I finished my Teresa Wentzler, so I'm going to start a new Teresa Wentzler. This is a chart that my wife actually bought me when I was first starting to stitch, and that's been 25 years, something like that. So it's been hanging around a long time, and I think I mentioned this before. In fact, I showed you this. I actually started it once and wasn't happy with some things, so I am starting it again. And we'll see how it goes. I'm excited about it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start down here in the corner, and I'm going to work the border. This piece isn't as complicated as English Garden Sampler. It does have some specialty stitches. There's like Smyrna crosses and Algerian eyelets in places, and lots of lazy daisies. Oh, more lazy daisies. But the real challenge with this piece is this border, because it's all a bunch of little leaves with a lot of backstitch and beads in them. So we'll see how this goes. But this is what I'm planning on starting this evening, and we'll see how far I go. Yeah, it's not. If you remember, the chart for English Garden Sampler had a whole page of instructions of backstitch and specialty stitches. This doesn't. In fact, it doesn't even have as many colors. The color list is only half a page, only. And the backstitch instructions are only this long. So definitely Lots of back stitching, but not as crazy as English Garden Sampler was. So we'll see how things go when I get to that. I am considering, because of all the back stitching that's in the border, I am considering possibly back stitching as I go. I have a hard time doing that. I might not, I don't know. But I might do that, we'll see. I guess it depends on what kind of a mood I get into, but I'm really excited to stitch this. And I've loved this design for a long time, and it needs to be stitched. So this is my next Teresa Wentzler. Okay? At any rate, that is all that I have to share with you. I hope that you have a great week. As always, you can follow me on Instagram if you want to see my daily progress and see how things go with English Cottage Sampler. I am at blitstitch on Instagram. As always, feel free to, if you haven't, to subscribe to my channel so that you can be more readily notified when I post videos. If you want to, feel free to like this video, and I always enjoy hearing from you and hearing your comments, and would be glad to answer any questions that you have for me. As always, I hope that everything goes well with you, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye.